See guys, life, along with happiness, is all about perception. So what's the definition of perception? What does perception mean? See, perception is a thought, belief, or opinion held by a single person about an event. See, I'm going to say it again because it's very important. A perception is a thought, belief, or opinion held by a single person about an event. Perceiving something is all about how you think it and believe it to be. So, but here's the key, is that your perception of an event will always be different than the person next to you. Just because you perceive something to be, don't try to force what you perceive onto someone else, because they might see something completely different than what you see. I'm going to tell you guys this story that I saw and I read this past week, because it really helped me understand what perception is and how everyone else has a different perception than what you do. So the story goes like this. There was a teacher teaching math to a 6-year-old named Brian, and she asked him this. She said, if I give you one apple and one apple and one apple, how many apples will you have? And Brian thought about it for a few seconds and he said, I will have 4. And the teacher, she was dismayed. She was expecting an effortless correct answer, which would have been 3. And she was disappointed. And she said, maybe the child didn't listen properly. And she repeated again. She says, Brian, please listen carefully. It's very simple. You'll be able to do it right if you listen carefully. She said, if I give you one apple, and one apple, how many apples will you have? Brian had seen the disappointment on his teacher's face, and he calculated on his fingers again. But within him, he was also searching for the answer that will make his teacher happy. This time, he hesitated. He said, 4? The disappointment stayed on the teacher's face. And she remembered Brian loved strawberries. So she's like, maybe he doesn't like apples and that's making him lose focus. This time, with exaggerated excitement, she said, if I give you one strawberry, and one strawberry, then how many will you have? And seeing the teacher happy, he calculated on his fingers again. And there was no pressure on him this time. Without hesitating, he smiled and he said 3. And the teacher was super happy. And she wanted to, congratulate him and congratulate herself, but one thing remained. She asked him again, now if I give you one apple, one apple, one apple, how many will you have? He answered 4 again. The teacher was confused. She says, how, Brian? How? How do you have 4 apples? And he, in a low voice, and very hesitant, he said, because I already have 1 apple in my bag. See, that's the story, guys. And the lesson to learn in this story is this. When someone gives you an answer that is different from what you expect, it's not that they're wrong. There may be an angle that we may not have to understand at all. We need to learn to appreciate and understand different perspectives. See guys, quite often we try to impose our perspectives on others and then wonder what went wrong. See, here's a key point about this story too, is that when it comes to life, everyone will have their own way of perceiving things. The next time someone gives you a different perspective or different answer than yours, sit down and gently ask. So you gotta ask this. Can you please help me understand? That will give you the ability to see things from another perspective. Rather than just getting upset and being like, you're wrong, sit down and ask them very nicely, can you please help me understand? That way you can see your perspective, and then you can also understand their perspective. The reason that I bring up that key point is this, guys, is perception is all about being able to realize what you see, but also having the ability to see someone else's perspective or see an event or something happen from all sides. See, when you see something from only one side, your beliefs are made up from only your point of view, and those aren't the full truths of what's actually happening. You have to be able to see things from the full circle, be able to see things from all sides to get the full truth. And now you may be wondering, how do I fix this problem? How do I gain the ability to see perspectives from all sides? And I already gave you one, is asking the person to sit down and saying, can you please help me understand your perspective? The second thing is this, is whenever you see an event play out, or you see something you don't like, or whatever it may be, take a second and try to see it from multiple points of view. It's going to be hard. I have to do this too. Take a second and try to see it from multiple points of view. And if you aren't able to do that, ask someone around you what they think, and if it's different from you, ask them why they think that. See, this kind of goes in with the other one I said, is just being able to try to do it by yourself first. And if you can't, then you can ask someone, hey, why do you think that? And that's all I'm asking, is just try to understand from multiple points of view. And if you can do that, you'll be more joyful because you can get the truth and fully understand why something is happening. Okay? My next point is this. I want to talk about this really quick, and it's about self-perception. See, most of this podcast has been about the external of our lives, what we see externally. What I want to talk about real quick is our internal self-perception, perception about yourself. And there's a key thing about self-perception, is it's instilled in us before we can even talk. See, people will talk about you and form your beliefs on who you are way before you have a say in it. When you're real young, when you're crawling, can't talk, people will talk about you and form your beliefs. But this is the key to combat this, is you have to be aware of who you are. You have to know what you like. You have to know what you're capable of. And how do you do that? Is you have to be honest with yourself. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you have to ask those around you who you trust. Okay, that's the key, is you have to be honest with yourself. And if you can't do that, ask someone around you who you trust. I don't know if anyone's religious or not, but I love this verse in the Bible, and it goes by this. It's Proverbs 27:6. It says, "The wounds of a friend are faithful, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful." And for those of you that maybe don't understand what it means, I had to look this up, so I'm not saying I knew what it meant either, but I really do like the verse, because it says that if you want someone to tell you the truth about how they see you perceive yourself, it may hurt, right? If they're going to be honest with you, and maybe you aren't perceiving yourself the best, they're going to be honest and it's going to hurt, okay? But it's honest and it's faithful. It's what you need. However, an enemy, or what we call now fake friend, will kiss you and lie to you. They will tell you what you want to hear, which won't help you at all. So you want someone, you'd rather have a wound of a friend because it's faithful, rather than a kiss of an enemy because it's deceitful. So I'm going to give you two things to fix their self-perception problems other than being honest with yourself. Number one is, don't let one event control your whole future. If someone doesn't like you, don't say, "So no one will ever like me." Rather be like, "This is just one person. There's 7 billion people in this world. If one doesn't like me, it's okay." Or you could say, or if you say, "I'm not good at this yet, so I'll never be good at it." Again, that's false. Like I've talked about in the Process podcast, is it takes time to build and be good at something. So just because you're not good at it now does not mean you will never be good at it. And the second thing is this, guys, like I said above, ask those around you and listen. Listen to them, okay? You have to ask those around you. And this is what really frustrates me sometimes with people, is that they'll be handed a platter of how to fix themselves, but they won't listen. So just asking someone around you won't fix the problem. Because if you ask them and they're honest with you, and they give you the things you need to change, but you don't do it, then what was the point of even asking? You have to listen, and your friends will be honest with you if you ask them. So ask those around you and listen, listen, listen.